Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? Today is Sunday, September 16, 2018. I'm Jared Fuller. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of the Sunday Video Update. So much to talk about. My weekend has been absolutely marvelous. So yesterday I was down at Sparrow Hospital in Lansing, Michigan, and they had an event called Share Your Hair, where people were donating their hair to a Michigan-based nonprofit organization called Maggie's Wigs for Kids. So they collaborated yesterday, and just a lot of wonderful people. I got to meet a lot of warriors. The little girl that I got to meet at Ponderosa a couple weeks ago or so, maybe a little longer, she was at Sparrow. And she come right up and gave me a great big hug when she recognized who I was. I had my Jared Bear with me, so we had pictures taken together with Jared Bear. It was just a wonderful time. I got to meet Jennifer and Jackie from Maggie's Wigs for Kids. If they're watching this, Jennifer, I'm so sorry that I made you cry, sweetheart. What it was is I shared bits and pieces of my story with her, and provided that it was Sparrow, it kind of authenticated the story, and provided that we were in the same building where I was being treated. And one of the key points that I had mentioned was that if the fate of these children depended on me going through everything I had gone through previously, I would do it again in a heartbeat, no questions asked. And it was that very statement that started to bring tears to her eyes. And Jennifer, I do apologize. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Thank you so much for the hugs, Jennifer and Jackie. About 5 or 6 hugs apiece, give or take. I'm a hugger. I love giving hugs to people. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. But I'll take a hug any day, Jennifer and Jackie. Thank you so much for the hospitality yesterday. I got to meet a little girl named Liliana. And I love how she spells her name, Lillionna. She's got red hair like I do, and she was wearing a gold cape. All the little warriors were wearing gold capes, Mary included. She was wearing a gold cape. But Liliana was painting fingernails and cutting hair, and it was just an amazing event. And I want to put this, I want to plug in Maggie's Wigs for Kids, because they are, like I said, they are a Michigan-based nonprofit organization. They're located in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Their mailing address is 30126 Harper Avenue, St. Clair Shores, Michigan, 48082. Their hours of operation are Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., Wednesday and Thursday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you can contact them at area code 586-772-6656. Again, that's area code 586-772-6656. And you can contact Maggie directly at Maggie@wigs4kids.com, the number 4. Again, that's Maggie@wigs4kids.org. So that's all the information you need. If you need to get any of that information, you just rewind the tape and you can get it. Rewind the tape. I'm talking like I'm still in 1993. But anyway, so Maggie's Wigs for Kids is a nonprofit organization. They do not charge the families for the wigs. They realize, and I had the opportunity of speaking with Jackie and Jennifer yesterday. They realize that these families are in the worst of times financially. They are having trouble keeping food on the table, keeping a roof over their head, and clothes on their back. Not to mention the medical bills, which everything adds up, everything piles up, and so Maggie's Wigs for Kids helps to alleviate the problem of, my child wants a wig because chemo made them lose their hair. So they are very reputable, and they don't charge you for the hair. So So with that being said, if you are one of those families, and if you live in Michigan, Maggie's Wigs for Kids, I would recommend. They have gotten a lot of wonderful, positive feedback, and I am happy to endorse them all day long. They are amazing people. And maybe I'm just being a little biased here, but Jennifer and Jackie, they're like rock stars. And if you guys are watching this, if you ladies are watching this, thank you again for yesterday. I love you both, and I'm looking forward to coming down to St. Clair Shores to do some charity work for you guys, or if not charity work, at least volunteering. So I guess in a broad sense, volunteering is kind of like charity work because you're giving your time and your effort and your passion for doing it. I just had a wonderful time yesterday, and I got to meet a lot of people, made some new friends. The events coordinator for Sparrow, her name is Cindy. I met her previously when I went to Sparrow to, it was when I was with Caleb, when Caleb was getting access for Irving Christine. She come into the room, and she was a sweetheart then, and she's always been sweet to me. So Cindy, thank you for the hospitality, and to everyone at Sparrow and at Maggie's Wigs for Kids. And we also had local television stations at Sparrow. It was WILX, and it would be News Channel 10, Fox 47, and WLNS 6. They're all Lansing-based local news stations, television stations. So yesterday was really super fantastic, and I am so looking forward to coming back for future events at Sparrow. So hopefully I can get the ball rolling with that, and of course I still want to volunteer my time at the Bottomless Toy Chest and now at Maggie's Wigs for Kids. So yeah, that was a lot. And before I forget, this side. This little girl that you see here on this pin, her name is Lucy. She is an ambassador for the Michigan chapter of the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. I got to meet her yesterday. She's a cancer warrior. I got to meet her and her mom and dad yesterday, her brother, Abraham, and the littler one, the baby. I got to meet their family. They are an amazing family. Of course, Lucy gave me high fives before we parted ways. And I had nice conversations with her parents, and they are really awesome people. They are wonderful people. They live in a suburb of Lansing called DeWitt, which would be on the north end of Lansing. They are just amazing people, and I got this Lucy pin when I went to Jersey Mike's Subs in East Lansing for the charity event for Sparrow, and I bought a bunch of CMN balloons, Children's Miracle Network balloons, and it was just a wonderful time. So my dad's awake. You're not going to be able to hear him because I'm using the mic, but he is awake back there. Dog woke him up, I think. I'll go with the dog and not me jibber-jabbering. But, yeah, so it was quite the event yesterday. And before I forget, don't forget to visit GuideStar.org. Excuse me, GuideStar.org is a website tied in with the Internal Revenue Service. They have a complete and comprehensive listing of all of the 501c3 nonprofit organizations and LLCs approved by the federal government. Don't be duped. Do your homework. Visit GuideStar.org today, and just do your homework. Don't let the cons in the world rip you off and cheat you. So I've been here for a very short period of time, talking about little bits. I haven't even been here for 10 minutes yet, but I am closing in on 10 minutes. So perhaps I will talk about some other things that I've been kind of jogging back and forth. I'm working on a poem right now called I Wear Your Bracelet Every Day. I've got a few lines down. I think I've got like 16 lines written, or 12 lines written. I knew my math was a little bit off. But I'm working on that poem, and I will have a poem video readily available for all of you once I finish the poem. And I hope you've been enjoying my other poetry I've written. I had written a poem called Left Out, and holy moly, I don't remember the other poem. Today Will Be the Day. That's what it's called. Wow, how could I have forgotten my own poetry? It's early in the morning. It's almost like 4 o'clock in the morning, so bear with me. I have a tendency to forget. I'm not perfect. Not perfect at all, but anyway, yeah, I hope you've been enjoying my poetry, and like I said, I'll have a new poem video out for you very soon called I Wear Your Bracelet Every Day. I'm still working on it, so look for that. And there's anything else going on? Yes, there actually is. I wanted to discuss something, like I said, it's been kind of weighing heavily on my mind these past couple weeks. And I've briefly touched base on this in prior videos. It's about my advocacy. And there's been a lot of, kind of hinting around that, oh, Jared is going to stop being an advocate. I think we got him. We got our checkmate moment with Jared. He's going to stop advocating for childhood cancer. No, I'm not going to quit. The point that I always make, and I've been making this point now for the past 2 or 3 weeks, is even if I'm not an advocate, I'm still a survivor. And my survivorship, if that's a word, I'm going to use it for the time being, although I'm not a big fan of slang, but my survival of this disease, it was the driving force behind my advocacy to begin with. So even if I stop being an advocate, if one day I decide to throw in the towel on being an advocate, I'm still a survivor. I'm still going to have my stories to share. I'm still going to, I'll have moments of my journey to share with people who are interested in listening, and, they're not so quick to judge me when they hear something horrible about me, which seems to be happening a lot as well, but there's nothing I can do about that other than to keep doing what I'm doing, stay on the straight and narrow, and just tell my haters to shoo, fly, shoo. Yeah, there's just the kinds of people I deal with, they are so feckless and lackadaisical in their way of thinking that it's almost comical. And this is what I deal with every day, not just certain days of the week. It's an everyday thing. I would just, I don't know, maybe I give too much credit to people who are just not worthy of the credit, but I would expect them to think about things more and, just use logic and put 2 and 2 together, if they're able to do so. But that's, I guess that's the way of the world, and social media facilitates that kind of behavior where people just don't think and they just want to believe everything at face value. I'm just along for the ride in that whole situation. I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter. I don't have Facebook anymore. A lot of people I know, they use Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm on Twitter and, of course, YouTube. So there are ways of getting in touch with me. I'm not a hard person to find. My email address is in the About tab section of my channel. In which case no one really emails me from this channel. I'm kind of taken back by that because I make it easy for people to get in contact. If anyone has such a problem with me, if they have grievances to file with me, it shouldn't be difficult to do. I provide the outlet for that. And I don't see why it should be difficult for anyone to get in contact with me if they're not happy with something. Or if they just want to say hello, which I'm always open to that as well. Just, casual conversation. But yeah, yesterday was probably one of the, it was like the pinnacle of this past week. Just being with people that enjoyed my company as much as I enjoyed theirs. And, but this idea of my advocacy, whether I'm here or not, as far as advocacy is concerned, I'm still a survivor. But it's something I have thought about. I mean, what would happen if I just decided to walk away from all of that? The truth is, I'm not ever walking away, and I can never really and truly walk away from my past. But instead of dwelling on such a horrible situation, I just use my prior health history as an inspiration and a beacon of hope for other people who are not so sure, and they're just, they're afraid, they're scared. So that's what I'm here to do, just to be a voice and to explain things in a way that people may or may not understand, depending on how well your vocabulary is. But yeah, I've been doing quite well. Other than, I have my up and down days just like anybody else. I'm still taking my Lexapro, which is my antidepressant medicine. Everything's good. And like I said, I've been doing things. I've been going here, going there. Dad, he's been doing some repairs on our house, and he's been helping some friends of ours do some repairs on their house because they're in the process of moving, and with moving comes renovating. And if you buy a trailer house where the people who lived in it prior had gutted it and destroyed it on the inside, yeah, I guess renovation will be in your future, because people are careless and stupid, and they're inconsiderate of other people. But the funny thing, even with me saying that, is there's people out there who say, well, Jared, you're all about anti-bullying, but you're going to sit here and call people stupid. Well, if they're going to act stupid, if they're going to behave stupidly, then that makes them stupid in regards to the actions that they've taken. I'm not saying they're stupid, across the board. I'm not saying that their personality is stupid or who they are as an individual, that they're stupid. I'm saying that their actions, what they have done, is stupid. So, just to clarify, because, people nowadays, they love to twist words, and they love to inject contexts into words when you don't mean what they want you to mean, and you don't mean what they want to convey to everybody else. Oh, Jared is being this nasty, horrible person, calling people stupid on YouTube. And I think anybody with a brain knows what I'm talking about. Oh, but did I just make a remark about people without brains? I don't know. What's that? Oh yeah, Dad says because you guys can't hear him because I'm using the mic. He says it's like digging a great big hole, knowingly stepping in it and twisting your ankle, and oh gee, duh. But yeah, there's been a little bit going on. I came home from Lansing yesterday, went straight to bed. I was tired. I was really tired. I didn't sleep well all through the night, and yesterday I had such a horrible pain in the pit of my stomach, a very sharp pain. It would not go away. It's better now, but when I got home, I took a nap because I was whipped. I was really tired, and so I went to sleep, and I woke up, and I feel a lot better. But the day before that, I was at the Back 40, and I had some puff bread, and I had a beef nacho supreme with beer. I drank some Busch Light, and then when I got home, I drank Pepsi on top of that. And it was bothering me all day today, and I'm thinking, oh man, I hope I don't have an ulcer, because, you know, I had the peppers, you know, I had the green peppers on the beef nacho, and then I drink beer, and then I had puff bread, which is just, you know, pizza bread. And I made taco salad like a few days before that, but I don't think it was the taco salad. It was all the stuff I ate at the bar, but I love bar food. Bar food is very, very yummy in my tummy, and so is Pepsi. Better. But yeah, I showed you my Lucy pin, and I also have this little, it's a Survivor pin that I got from Cindy, the events coordinator at Sparrow. She handed it to me, and she said, actually, we met up yesterday. We were in the lobby because that's where the event had taken place. And she says, well, hold on just a second. I've got something for you. And I said, okay. So I'm standing there with Jerry Bear, and I, you know, got some other things. I got some other goodies. And she says, here, this is a Survivor pin. I want you to have this. I said, well, thank you very much. So now I'm going to have to wear this every day. And my Lucy pin I will have to wear. And, of course, I'm representing Sparties because, well, I have to. Because my oncologists are MSU grads, so I support them all the way. And oncologists are, and I talked about this last week. Oncologists are more than just oncologists and hematologists to us. They're more than just specialists and experts in the field of pediatric medicine, but they are family. And make no mistake, when I was at Sparrow yesterday, we were talking about oncologists, and the first name that come up in almost every conversation that I had was Dr. Scott. The very first name. And that, it set my heart aflutter, because it's like, you know, he was my guy, Dr. Guerra was my gal, Dr. Kulkarni was my other gal. But now it's Dr. Scott, Dr. Guerra, and Dr. Shamden. Dr. Kulkarni went on to another field of expertise, blood clotting, I think it is. That's what I've been told anyway. But they are extended members of our family, and all the medical staff, even back then, the people who were checking on me and the people who check on your children, if you are directly impacted by childhood cancer, your room nurses and your, you know, everybody involved. They are extended family, but they are also stewards of our health. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for them, and I always will. Anybody who makes it their life to save anybody else's life, especially little ones who are fighting and trying to defeat this cancer tooth and nail. They're my heroes. Even without the capes, they're amazing. They're my inspiration. They're my little brothers and sisters. And I almost forgot. Dad just reminded me. On October the 7th, we are going on a poker run for Braden Buddy Boy Miller. And speaking of Braden, he just come back from Mexico not too long ago. He was having seizures on the way back. And when they got back to Michigan, he was rushed to Ann Arbor by ambulance. And at last check, the doctor down there said that they didn't want to put in the shunt or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go from here. But as far as I know, he's been doing well. As far as I've been seeing anyway, on Twitter, I guess he's been doing well. He's, you know, laughing and eating and joking, and he's back to his normal routine. But and they said it could have been caused from lack of sleep and fatigue, because, when you're traveling back and forth from United States to Mexico, there's a time difference, in which case jet lag. And so, there's a lot of different contributing factors. But yeah, October 7th is a poker run for Buddy Boy. Dad and I are going to be attending that, and I am so looking forward to it. And when I was in Lansing yesterday, WILX 10 was there, Channel 10 and Box 47, and WLNS 6. I got to talk to the ladies standing behind the camera, and they shook my hand, and I shared my story with them. Very nice people. The event yesterday was just amazing. I guess they've been doing this now for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's like, well, why am I just now knowing about this? But I'm glad I know, and now I have something to look forward to every year, even if I'm just there to show my support. The people at Wigs for Kids, Maggie's Wigs for Kids, that is, they're looking forward to seeing me at future events at Sparrow, and I've been invited down, like I said, to volunteer my time. And I couldn't be more excited to get my hands involved in not only Maggie's Wigs for Kids, but the Bottomless Toy Chest. And as previously stated, they do a lot of collaborating together. So not only will I be volunteering at Maggie's Wigs for Kids, but I will also be getting involved at the Bottomless Toy Chest, because I'm starting to get known to a lot of people, for better or worse. I'm working more towards the better. The ones who know me for whatever selfish, stupid reasons that they do, or they want to, try to make me look like a bad guy. Yeah, it's just not going to work. I don't focus on them. I focus more on the people who want me around. They need my help. They appreciate my help, and that's who I'm there for. I can't, I can't live my life worrying about what other people have to say or what other people think. I'm just going to do what I have to do. And a lot of these people are just mad because when you're an advocate, and I realize that advocacy is a very demanding description to take. It's a very demanding title. But when you become an advocate, you're more or less, you're taking a risk. You're risking your reputation. But you're also standing up for those who cannot speak for themselves, or if they can, they don't know how to go about speaking for themselves. And I'm more than just an advocate. I'm a survivor. I can tell you things about what I had gone through. And granted, I was too little to remember as the events were unfolding, but that's why I have my parents who tell me all different kinds, bits and pieces of stories from my journey, and that's what I go with. I bank on that. And I have detailed information about my chemo and some additional information I got from Dr. Scott when I set up an appointment with him. And I'm looking forward to setting up another appointment with him very soon. At least I'm hoping before the snow flies, because there are some other things I'd like to know. I might even have to have my dad take me to Lansing, hopefully if it's not too much of a problem if the weather gets bad. But I do pretty good driving in the snow. But I'm going to have to set up another appointment with Dr. Scott and try to get some additional information, because he still has my original yellow folder from 1989, back when my folks were signing consent forms for chemo and radiation. So whether anybody likes it or not, I am a member of this. I am a part of this. And I'm not proud of that. I wish I had the option of detaching myself from that life, but it became my life. So I can't detach myself from myself. It is what it is. And I wish I could say I'm sorry that offends people, but I'm only sorry that I had to go through something like that, and I'm even more sorry that other children have to go through similar situations. because I would take their place in a second, in a split hot second. I would take their place. But yeah, that's a mouthful. But yeah, I mean, all things considered, though, I mean, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. I'm on Twitter. I also have Skype for those of you who are Skypers. I've been talking to another family. Her name is Sammy, and she's a Wilms warrior, and we've been discussing doing a Skype one of these nights, hopefully sometime this week if she's not too busy. But I would absolutely love to be able to talk to young Sammy. She's a Wilms warrior, and her mom is really super nice, and we've had discussions on Twitter, and she says, you are just the biggest inspiration to me and my Sammy, and she says, we would be so honored and thrilled to talk to you, because you express yourself so well, and we want to hear what you have to say, and I'll do my best. I mean, there's no guarantees that I'll know what to say at every corner or every turn, but I will certainly do my best in being a voice for them, and talking to the parents, talking to the warrior themselves. I was just so tickled yesterday when little Liliana, she just, I mean, she had that sparkle in her eyes, and anybody who is going through this with your children, when you look into their eyes, when you know that there is fight, and I mean real fight within them, you see that sparkle. You see that I call it magic. You see that magic in their eyes, that they are not giving up, they are tough, and they are ready to kick cancer's ass. And it's not always the case, sadly, but we are all family here, or at least I'd like to think we're all family. Maybe not family by DNA, because DNA is just relative. Like I have relatives that are related by DNA. But you can pick and choose your family. This community is my family. And just like any family, families fight, sure. But it is a community or a family that no one asked to be a part of. We were involuntarily thrust into this, and there's no way out. NWO, no way out. So what we do, instead of dwelling on the negative, we use our situation and we use our circumstances for the better. We take a bad situation and bad circumstances, transform it for the better. That's what I always try to do. And something else, and I wanted to kind of touch on this too, the narcissism in childhood cancer is just through the roof. It is a problem. You wouldn't think that there are people who are only in this to make themselves look good, but there are lots of people. Lots of people. Especially people who are indirectly impacted by this. They are using this, they're milking it for what it's worth to get their kudos and to, just get their popularity and their notoriety, and they want to get press and they want to get the front page of the paper. I don't care. You live an empty life and you have to use sick children to fill that void. I mean, come on, seriously? And I'm not making an attack at bereaved parents, because I know this is very personal. This monster of a disease had stolen their children, and so they make it their life's mission to get the word out. And I'm not denouncing the bereaved parents. It's, by and large, who I'm referring to are those people that have no part, that they're not affected by this in any way, just an emotional appeal. For people like me, this is more than just an emotional appeal. This is my life. And it was my dad's life. It was my mom's life and my brother's life. This affects the family. This is something that doesn't just affect the person who's going through it and taking the chemo and the treatment. This affects the whole family. And so, I have had this discussion with my brother. He's 6 years my senior, where, because I'm the baby of the family, therefore, when I was sick, a lot of the attention was drawn to me, and he felt as if Mom and Dad didn't love him enough or love him as much as they love me, and that's couldn't be farther from the truth. My parents, they love us kids equally, all the same. But my brother and I, we've had this discussion, and he says, I felt that, I was left out, and, Mom and Dad loved you more. Well, first of all, I'm the baby of the family, and second of all, I was sick. I could have died. It's not like this was planned. This wasn't divinely ordained. This was just something that happened. You can't predict things like that. So we had that discussion, and he's at the age now. He's 38. He'll probably kill me for giving away his age, but he's 38, and he's old enough now, mature enough now to understand that it wasn't the case at all that Mom and Dad loved Jared more than that's never the case. But when a child is sick, they demand and require urgent care and attention. And I hear a lot of different cases where the siblings feel left out because the person who was affected by a terminal illness or an injury or what have you, they're in the limelight, and the brothers and sisters and siblings are just kind of kept, it's like, well, when they interview me, I'm just the brother. This is not about me, it's about them. Interview them. But I've never been interviewed. As a matter of fact, there are 4 things that I've never had, and I touched on this briefly on Twitter. I have never had a Make-A-Wish. I've never had Give Kids a World. I've never had end of treatment bells. And I've never had Beads of Courage. I know a lot of this stuff is fairly new, I think, because they're coming out with something new every day or every year, it seems. And I don't want to engage too much in hyperbole when I say that, but they're coming out with new things quite frequently, and I've never actually had a wish granted because I was, 2 years old. So I never had a wish granted. I think my only wish was to survive. So I never had a wish granted. I never had Beads of Courage, which the Beads of Courage, what that is for every chemo treatment, or for every, I think it's chemo. For every chemo treatment, you get a bead, or something like that. There's more to it than that, and don't quote me on that because I'm probably getting it all wrong. I haven't really looked into Beads of Courage. I really need to educate myself and research that a little more. But those are 4 things I've never had. Now, Give Kids a World opened in the same year that I was battling cancer, 1989. So therefore, of course, I'm not going to have Give Kids a World. And that's in Florida, by the way. But and the end of bell treatment, where the warriors ring the bell when they are done with chemo, and they're in remission, I guess, so which would mean that they would, I don't know. If they're in remission, they would do the end of treatment bell. I never got to ring a bell, but I was invited to, if it's possible. My buddy who lives in Eaton Rapids, my little leukemia brother, he's going to be ringing an end of bell treatment at Sparrow, And his mother wants me to be there for that. And she wants me to ring the bell with him. So that's to me is very extremely heartwarming. And it brought tears to my eyes when she says, I want you to be there for that. Kind of makes me emotional now. She says, I want you to be there for that. And I want you to ring that bell with him because you never got that experience when you know, they had removed your chemo port. So it's very, it means a lot to me. And I couldn't be more thankful for the people that I still have in my life. There's a lot of people who, you know, I get text messages from my friends from Facebook every so often, and they expressly point out that, well, Jared, you know, my Facebook is just not the same without you. And it's not just families affected by pediatric cancer. It's my friends in general, my friends who are in the entertainment business. They get in contact with me and they tell me, Facebook is just not the same without you. I can't believe you would let cyberbullies run you off. But to be frank, the part that hurt me more than anything, I think it hurt me more the fact that all these people that I had helped and I had made them a priority, I had made a point to be with them and to support them, get involved in their charities, get involved with their fundraisers, get involved with just getting to know them, treating them like my family. And I have driven far distances away to see these people. Some of them I've never met. Well, most of them I've never met. But I have done so much for so many people. I'm not looking for notoriety. But in the eyes of their calamity, I have done a lot for them. And the fact that the minute someone has one thing to say, they're turning me away, I mean, that's really unfair. And it's heartbreaking because no one's going to be able to tell a story about the journey better than someone who has actually personally gone through that. And I know I emphasize that a lot like a broken record, but I can't emphasize it enough because it's true. Who else could tell you what this is like and what to expect after treatment and the lifelong after effects of chemo? I survived it and I know what it is, so therefore I can tell you. I can be a beacon of hope. And everybody says, well, Jared, you can't let those people stop you or you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't let them discourage you. There's a word. I can't let them discourage me from continuing on helping other people. And they're right. But at some point, because it didn't happen to them, and I'm not saying it could never happen to them, and I'm not saying it didn't happen to them. What I'm saying is, in this particular moment, what we're talking about, it happened to me. There are nights when I just lie awake and I think, why did that happen? Why didn't these people that I made them a priority, I helped them, why did they not come to me and ask me questions? I would like to believe that these people, and I understand they've got a lot on their plate, and I don't want to make light of that in any way, shape, or form. But I would also like to think that these people have brain cells that they would come to me and talk about this. But they just don't. What? What thing about? They can't hear you. Well, I know that, but I mean it. But it bothers me now. It's something I want to talk about now because I don't understand why any of that I mean, wow. Talk to me. You know, you're so quick to judge. And it's like, I just can't believe it. Maybe Dad's right. I should save it for my next video. But it's just so heartbreaking, and it depresses me because it's like I really cared enough to help. And I cared enough to do the things I've done to help people who just crap on me. But I can't let that get me down. I understand what people are trying to say, but it's easy for them to say. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know what they do every day. They don't know what I do unless we tell each other. And that, you know, that's the trick of the trade, is that when you're off social media, kind of like semi-off social media, people have to ask you how you've been doing, you know, and like the people that I email regularly, they haven't heard from me in quite some time, and once in a while I get a pop-in surprise email and say, Jared, I haven't heard from you in such a long time. How's it going, buddy? You know, or how's life treating you, and how's your health? And, you know, just to engage in small talk, which that's fine with me, because those people know better. I mean, they just know. And when I point out logic and critical thinking, because I go for the knees a lot when it comes to logic and critical thinking, I apply logic and critical thinking to everything. It drives people crazy, but it's the only way that we can, you know, when you apply a proper application of logic and critical thinking to situations where you are indecisive. What do I believe, and why do I believe it? A proper application of logic and critical thinking will get you very, very far. And as I've stated previously, I find this so hard to believe that the people who have now, they've turned me away. These are oncology parents. Wasn't it evidence that led to your child's cancer diagnosis? You went by that evidence. There was something to examine, which is why our doctors examine us, which is why our doctors do labs, urinalysis, X-rays, ultrasounds, EKGs, CT scans, the whole nine. Because those examinations with modern technology provides evidence, and it tells our doctors and our specialists and our professionals what they're looking at. That's the evidence. Do you think that our elite team of medical professionals are sitting in a conference room flipping a coin, heads for cancer and tails for pneumonia? Do you think that's how they came to the conclusion that your children had cancer? Do you think that's how my oncologist came to that conclusion, that I had cancer? No, that's not how that worked. And that's not how it's ever worked. And this is why I have such a hard time believing that these are oncology parents who evidence only matters when you want it to matter. But for anywhere else in life, it doesn't matter. You discard evidence and rational discourse. That, to me, is dishonest on an intellectual level. And it's dishonest just... How could you do that? It doesn't make any sense. And you know, I find that so just, wow. It's unbelievable to me. And the same goes for anybody in the entertainment world, people who are actors or whatever. You know, because for the longest time there was a lot of gossip going around about me on Twitter. Of course, that's been cleared up. But and of course you discover that those are trolls who started all that, the same rules apply. You say that Jared was doing this and doing that. You say that. But do you actually have something to show me where it was actually Jared saying and doing this stuff? I mean, just recently I was accused of saying inappropriate things on my YouTube channel, which is a load of guff because my videos are public. They are quite self-evident, I would agree. When have I ever spoken inappropriately? I might let a profane word slip here or there every once in a while, but it's not anything to get in a tizzy about. I don't know. And maybe I spend too much time worrying about negative people and people who are toxic, and they try to bring me down because they are just so, I don't know, jealous maybe? Might be the correct word to use. I don't know. I mean, if good grief, if I had a choice to choose whether or not I wanted cancer, don't you think I would have chosen it? Don't you think my parents would have chosen that? That goes for any of you who are affected by childhood cancer or any debilitating disease, but childhood cancer is really the only disease that I'm familiar with. Don't you think we would be asking for any other life but this one? I mean, it's these people. They can't hear you. They can't hear you. But the thing is if we could choose any life to live a healthy, happy life, don't you think that's what we all want? For people to say, well, that Jared, he acts like he's still got cancer, and he acts, like it bothers him so much. Newsflash, maybe it does. Something you wouldn't know anything about. After effects, especially the after effects from chemo. That's going to affect me for the rest of my life. And I don't mean to get worked up, but in a situation where we have just ignorant thinking people, they are, they just don't care. They put no thought into their responses. They just throw something at the wall to see if it'll stick. And with other people who don't think rationally and critically, that's what happens. They seldom agree with what all these people have to say, and then it's bye-bye Jer Bear. They send me packing. So, but anyway, and I know that's a lot of thought. Dad's talking in the background. You guys, I don't think you can hear him. Because when I used the microphone the last time, Amy was sitting on the couch and you guys couldn't hear her, and then you're just seeing me looking over at her, listening into what she was saying. So, but yeah, I don't want to end this on a bad note. It was a good weekend. I was just happy to be there for people who were looking for inspiration and people who finally had a chance to meet me, and they know what I'm about. I am a survivor, a warrior through and through, and I'm always going to be there for my friends as much as I can. When I was 16, different story, I kept to myself, and my dad will tell you that if you could hear him talk, but it seems you can't, and I'm using the mic. Yeah, I was a complete different person when I was 16. I kept to myself. I was a bit of an introvert. Didn't care about anything around me. Didn't care about, I didn't care if the sun came up. I just didn't care. I was more interested in what I wanted to do, writing journals, writing poetry. I concentrated more on that. But now that my eyes are awake, or they're open, well, I'm awakened, and my eyes are wide open to childhood cancer, and now that I know and I should have already, I know the severity of the journey itself, But when people were coming at me in the beginning stages of my advocacy, when my advocacy was still in its infancy, I was getting all kinds of statistics and numbers thrown at me like, Jared, this is the situation? Underfunding of pediatric cancer, which there are no cures for some cancers, DIPG especially. DIPG being diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. That's what Buddy Boy has. It's what Deanie has. It's what a lot of my brothers and sisters out there have. And, you know, it's heartbreaking to me. It's devastating to me, and it's devastating to the families, needless to say. But I was kept out of the loop for quite a long time. And so now I'm aware, and now that I'm, you know, as a survivor, it was easy for me to hit the ground running on advocacy because I know what I'm dealing with, I know what I'm getting myself into. And for all things lollipops, I did not come into this with a mind of competing with other advocates. I've spoken about this quite a bit in the past, but there's a lot of competition, and I don't understand how advocacy for childhood cancer became such a competitive sport. I had made a meme on Twitter just recently where I had actually taken a picture of my road, and it says, you know, we're all traveling down the same avenue. We're in different lanes, but we're in the same avenue. We're wanting to reach the same destination, finding cures. And that's the truth. And maybe I'm just being biased because I'm the one that had the thought and I'm the one that come up with the design for the meme and such, but that's probably as true as it's going to get. But I don't understand why there has to be competition. I don't understand why there has to be so much narcissism. I don't understand this need or this desire to want to be elected as village chieftain of the childhood cancer community, whatever that may be, or elected mayor or city council, you know, just figuratively speaking. Someone's always wanting to be the figurehead of this egregious disease. I'm not looking to be a figurehead of anything. When I first started advocating in 2013, that was not my position. That was not my way of thinking. I wanted to work with people, you know, as human being first, survivor first, advocate second. I wanted to work united with people. I wanted to work alongside some other great names and other great faces and perhaps maybe other warriors. I wanted to collaborate with a lot of people. It started out that way. All up until the point that I called out a fraud, and that's what blew it. Because when people who are committing crimes, knowing that they're doing this and denying it, and when they have criminal backgrounds, and when you call them out on that, what they do is they like to deflect. They like to turn it around to make you look like the bad person. If me calling out or pointing out that someone is using sick children for their own intentions and their own selfish desires and needs, if that makes me a bad person, then I guess I'm a bad person in that regard. But it's going to take more than threatening me with the law, because a lot of these people I'm learning are extremely litigious. It's going to take more than just empty threats and you know, well, Jared is this person and he's saying and doing this. Anybody with a brain and anybody who understands logic and critical thinking will know that that is not the case, and it's never been the case. They're just mad and they're retaliating and they're making up stories to get back at me. But I sound like a broken record because it seems like I talk about the same thing every week. But it's important to know what's going on. Personally, I mean, if anything really seriously was going on, anything really truly and seriously was going on, I would not be sitting here today, and I would not be doing the things I'm doing. It's just common sense. But again, people lack common sense. Common sense is free, but those who lack common sense will buy into anything. And that also presents a problem, especially when you you call yourself a representative and a voice of people. And it's not just childhood cancer, it's politics in general as well. We see this all the time. We have people who are running for positions of governmental power, and I don't vote. I voted one time in my life and decided I'll never do it again. Because no matter the case, I mean, it's never going to get better totally. It's not going to smooth itself out or even itself out overnight. That's what people hope for, I think, in my opinion. Problems they're never going to go away. It's not going to go away. And especially with health, cancer, or whatever, it's not going to go away. And electing, in so many words, because I'm engaging in hyperbole here, but when people try to be, they work so hard at being the very pinnacle of a disease that, I mean, nobody owns childhood cancer. This disease isn't patented. I don't know what else to say about that, but I've said quite a bit here in this video. As I do every week, I just blab when I get going. But there's so much to consider when you're in a dynamic situation like childhood cancer. We all look for that panacea, the all-time cure for all cancers known to exist. I look for it every day. I wake up and I hope I get the news that, yes, we found a cure for DIPG. We found a cure for all known cancers to exist. That would be beautiful. It would be absolutely phenomenal. But we haven't reached that point yet. And I think for a lot of people, the advocacy for them is, there's a lot of lip service for pediatric cancer, and it's very much appreciated because we need all the advocates we can get. But I think a lot of them are also hoping that they will get noticed for something, and then they want to, get the press, and they have the news stations coming out to their house, and they have this and they have that going on. And I'm talking about the people who are indirectly impacted, of course. It's really the kids and the families who are being directly impacted. Those are the ones who should be getting the media attention. I'm not looking to be a kingpin. I'm not looking to be the village chieftain. I'm not looking to be the pinnacle of childhood cancer. I'm just another face. I'm just a survivor. And I make it sound so minimal, but I'm more than just a survivor. I'm now, I don't want to sound like a narcissist, but I'm more than just a survivor. People, just yesterday they're saying, "Oh, you're a walking, talking miracle." Well, I'm very flattered by that. But I just want I want as many people going through this this nightmare. I just want people to understand that they are not alone, and I know I'm not the only one out there who is a survivor or an advocate, whatever the case may be, but I am one of those people who can actually have these conversations. We can have philosophical conversations. We can have conversations about chemo, and we can compare, like, did chemo make you do this or did chemo make you do that? I've had conversations with lots of people like that, warriors and parents, both. And it's really, those are probably some of the most dynamic and most interesting and most heartfelt conversations that I've ever had with anyone. And they mean so much to me. So, but anyway, I got a piece of hair on the mic. Here we go. But anyway, I've been here for over an hour, as I am every week. Oh, an hour and about 7 minutes. It is already 4:45, so I am going to hit the road, get this out of the way, get it uploaded. I love you all so very much. Thank you for watching again this week for another installment of the Sunday Video Update. Don't forget that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We are going gold all the way until the 30th of this month. So please, even if you share one gold ribbon, please do. Share anything that is childhood cancer related. Help get the word out. And, just do your part. That's all we ask. Just share something and help get the word out. And I'm telling you, if you retweet anything of mine, because most of my tweets are childhood cancer laden, but if you ever retweet one of my tweets, you're doing a service for the childhood cancer community, and you are also letting other people, your other friends, know that I stand for this, and I want to see cures. I want there to be a future for children who are battling, and we want that for all of these kids, because a lot of these children, they were not afforded the life that they should have gotten. So that's why awareness is always important. Thank you for watching this week. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Same bear time, same bear channel. Much love.